had like double hit in one drop.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this thing had
You should dump it.
tell them to do semi. And I said, I'm gonna meditate. It's 306.
Oh, wow.
And of course, my international got a setback from it. This one's right on the end. So you gotta turn, like, start turning 15 feet before you think you should start. So I had to learn to drive. I slow down for this way. That's why I use yours. That's good.
Back and get your book.
Yeah, I mean, both of them. Yeah, I guess we, Saturday, I had to get here 6:30 in the morning, and I left at 1:30.
I get one from Judy Holland.
They said it's late. Are you going, Zach?
We played 2.5 hours straight. I just glad I didn't get.
Getting yourself set up.
Well, hey, what took it out of me was running sound for every other thing that started at 9 a.m.
I've got agendas here, if anybody wants to get one.
Oh, we're making stuff gonna be at outlet mall too. She must be something still around somewhere.
Hey, Willie, you guys want to do?
I do think we get one, please.
Probably only one.
I didn't see you play the other night, but I saw you on Facebook. I don't see how you got any energy at all.
Oh, I was, well, like I said, I started setting up for everybody else at 6:30 in the morning. And it was, you know, it was worth it though. We had the best turnout, I think, that Oktoberfest has probably had in 10 or 15 years, just the weather was perfect.
We'll go ahead and get started, the October 7th meeting. Spencer County Fiscal Court, we want to welcome everyone here today. As always, we open with a word of prayer and then the pledge of allegiance. We have always had folks in our community that we know, some that go unspoken, but I want to remember the folks in North Carolina that experienced those terrible floods and all the families that lost loved ones, and then we have things to be thankful for when, like that group of folks that found in that church, that was okay. But anyone in the room, and that goes for everyone, even our guests, anyone in the community we need to remember in prayer.
Ronnie Long lost his grandfather. Been to Eastern quite a bit. Spent time with him. We just lost him at the funeral this past week. Really close to him.
Remember this one, I know we had prayed for Joe Stone here, I think last meeting. He passed since our last meeting, actually. So keep his family in our prayers. Anyone else?
Maybe you could put a hedge of protection around the ones that the new hurricane's coming in. I've
Yes.
got family and it's right in line for them, so, that are down there, so.
That storm surge is the big, flooding is the big bad thing that gets so many folks. But, yeah. I know here in a little bit, Dan, you have that list of,
Yes, I did.
if you'd like, you can read it if you don't mind. And I'm thankful for this, and this is a good time to remember our veterans. But Dan put a whole, I don't know how many plaques.
15 of them.
Put 15 on the other day, and this is something that I'm very proud of us and our court decided to put these on at no charge for folks associated or have relatives with the county. If you'd like to read the names that we put up the other day.
David F. Houshel, He was a corporal in the Marine Corps. William H. McAllister was a sergeant in the Air Force. Ronald A. Madifer was a airman first class in the Air Force. Marvin Lewis was a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army. William Lewis was a private in the U.S. Army. Raymond Lewis was a tech sergeant in the U.S. Air Force, and then also in the U.S. Army. Keith Travis was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. Caleb Travis was I don't know what the Navy ranks are, but it's an MMN3 in the Navy. James Hasselback was a private first class in the U.S. Army. Joseph Salas, who's an employee of the county here, was sergeant first class in the U.S. Army. His wife, Heather Henry Salas, was a specialist in the U.S. Army. David L. Meredith was a private first class in the Marine Corps. Michael L. Meredith is a specialist in the U.S. Army. Brett Lee Higginbottom was a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and Joseph F. Aubrey was a private first class in the U.S. Army.
And you guys, I know we recognize some of these names, but you know, you don't have to be passed in order to get recognized on our wall. But we want to honor anyone that served. Like he mentioned, Joe works for us over at Recycling Center, and you know a few of those names on that list.
Son and grandson.
And but we're just proud of our veterans, and we want to recognize our veterans. And I thought it appropriate to have those names read before we go into prayer, because we always need to remember our veterans. So if y'all don't mind, Mike, if you don't mind, would you open us in a word of prayer, please?
For sure. Lord, we come to you today just thankful for all the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. And Lord, we just want to thank you for the recent rain we've had. We want to thank you for the beautiful weather that we had for our recent Oktoberfest festival. And Lord, we just want to thank you for all of the blessings that you've bestowed upon our community in many ways over the past couple of weeks. Lord, we come to you today with heavy hearts and concerned hearts. And Lord, we just lift up to you prayers of, we just ask that you be with the people that were involved in the recent hurricane in North Carolina and Tennessee and Virginia and Florida. And Lord, just continue to be with them as they're still searching for the ones that are lost, and be with the families who have lost loved ones through this. And Lord, just I know they got a long road ahead of them, and just be with them and comfort them as they continue the long road of cleanup and trying to get back to some sense of normalcy. Lord, there's people in this in our local community, specifically the Long family and the Stone family, and there's others that are hurting today, Lord, and are grieving the loss of a loved one, and you know who they are. But we just ask that you guide them and give them comfort in their time of loss, and just keep your arms around them. And Lord, we just pray for Florida and all the residents there, and as the new hurricane looks to be approaching Florida soon, we just ask that you put a hedge of protection around Floridians down there and help them to prepare the best way possible. And we just ask that you just be with all the first responders, and that everything go as good as it can be, and that the loss of life be none, or at least minimal. Lord, we want to pray for the Middle East situation as things seem to be heating up over there. Lord, we just ask that you give peace to the world and guidance to the world leaders, and help to bring peace back to the Middle East. And Lord, be with our armed forces in that respect, and give them protection in all the things that they do. Lord, be with this meeting. Be with all of us today as we make decisions that affect this county and our citizens, and help us to cooperate with one another and make the best decisions that we can, that are all pleasing and acceptable in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you would, join me in salute to our flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank everyone for participating in our opening part of the meeting. Madam Clerk, if you would, call the roll, please.
Squire Stump.
Here.
Squire Ferris.
Here.
Squire Eldridge.
Here.
Judge Travis.
Here.
Squire Travis.
Here.
Squire Cotton.
Here.
All right, everyone is here. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the 9/16/2024 meeting and also the minutes of 9/30, a special call meeting. I didn't have anything to really correct or strike. But I'll open the floor for any discussion anyone else has. There's a few little typos, but they did.
Motion to approve the September 16th meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, have a motion by Jim, second by Zach to approve the September 16 regular meeting minutes. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Next is the special call meeting minutes of 9:30 that are in your packets.
Motion to approve the September 30th, 2024 minutes.
All right, there a second?
Second.
All right, have a motion by Jim, second by Zach to approve the September 30th special call meeting minutes. Any discussion? Okay, not voting.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, all right, Mike and Dan will be not voting. So the rest of us will, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes. Thank you. All right, communications, and I'm gonna run through here pretty quick because we have Mr. Campbell here. But the road doors, we did get in and they were reimbursed on the insurance claim. So we got that taken care of. And next on the agenda, Mr. Lonnie Campbell, if you'd like to come up to the podium. He will explain we have an ordinance on page 36 and 37 where basically we've got to get our finances lined up to do the FEMA project at the old Hetty Bridge. So he's going to tell us everything we need to know about that. Yeah, later. Yeah, I got it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I didn't see it.
Well, I stretched it.
How you doing?
Morning, everybody.
Good to have you today.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here on Monday morning. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Just kind of go over some general things with you. I know you all are looking at construction of a bridge, and I believe that FEMA is going to reimburse you for it. And what we do a lot of these, well, several of them because of the FEMA. Bad thing about FEMA is that you gotta do the whole project and then they give you your money back. So it's kind of hard to take $2 million out of your budget to be able to finance a bridge. So what we do, we provide a short-term loan for you. And basically what that is we extend it out, and you'll see this on the payment schedule. And I want to clarify, looks like y'all not going to do this project to maybe next fiscal year. So this is a raw estimate here of 5%. That's kind of where we are in the market right now. Good thing is they're talking about lowering the rate a couple times. So I think when you do go pull the trigger on it, if you do decide, you'll probably hit it at a good time where hopefully the rate will be lower than that 5%. The way we structure this is we do interest only for the month. And then when you get your FEMA money, what we do is we just pay, it gets paid off. No prepayment penalty or anything like that. I extended it out for 3 years. A couple reasons is that it lowers your interest payment a little bit. And also, you never know about FEMA. Sometimes you'll get your money back very quickly. Sometimes it may drag on for a little while. This gives us a little cushion to be able to go ahead and get this moving. and to be able to provide this financing for you. As you know, well, most people know is that anything over the 500,000 mark, we got to go to the Department for Local Government for approval. It's a kind of drawn out process. Basically what you have to do is have a local hearing here in Spencer County. Your second read of your ordinance will satisfy them for the local public hearing, so that kind of cuts down the process a little bit. But once you do file what they call a notice of intent, and I can help you with that, actually fill it out for the judge to sign when you want to move forward. I want to make it clear to you that you're making no commitment here. The notice of intent does not say, yeah, we're going to for sure do the project. All it does is set this hearing up to allow to go through the process so we have the approval once you all want to move on the project. So it's just kind of a safeguard because it does take a while. It takes up to probably 60 to 90 days to go through this process, just because DLG takes a little time setting it up, and then you gotta wait 30 days after the decision, because if there's any public comment or anything after that 30 days, then we can move forward on the approval. They will send out an approval process and the approval for the debt. So that's basically the process. For us, basically all you will have to do is the ordinance. It's a general obligation ordinance. So you're committing your taxing power for some reason that this would not come to fruition. But I would say FEMA, once you get that, and do you have a approval letter or anything from them yet, Judge?
Well, I mean, I'm sure, all I know is that our QK4 engineers have been working, and they have went through the steps of having the hearings with the public, and everything is all been a go.
Okay.
And they were planning to probably start construction after July.
Right.
And I mean, I'm looking at this time next year that they'll be building it, hopefully wrapping it up.
Okay.
Is kind of how it was laid out. So I was thinking about the days that you were mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably need to get this ironed out during this fiscal year,
Mhm.
but we shouldn't need a draw until next fiscal year.
Okay. And we'll close whenever you want to. I'll need to get approval from where we do our banking at, and that's an underwriting process. But once they got that approval, and I've already talked to the bank that we usually go through on these FEMA loans, and they don't see any problems with going ahead with this loan. So we'll close whenever you want to. But I will say, if we need to get that approval from DLG, probably, start that process and get that done. So we have that in our back pocket.
Yeah, well, that approval will be this ordinance.
The ordinance and the notice of intent, which
Okay.
I can provide for you. It's a form from the Department of Local Government, which basically says you want to get a hearing set up. And that sets up the process. They'll send you an advertisement for the hearing. We'll need to be in the paper down here.
Okay.
So, but we do them all the time. They just matter of going through the process.
The steps.
Yeah, going through the steps. So,
But in our books, guys, page 36 and 37 is the ordinance that he's mentioning. This would be a first reading about securing these funds through KCO. And he's got the schedule here set out that he just passed out. So, if y'all have any questions of Mr. Campbell, I know we've been discussing this, and even the prior court basically got this ball rolling. We had a citizen drowned over there, so this ball got rolling probably 2-3 years ago. And then when we came into office last year, we didn't lose sight of it, and trying to, keep it going and pursue it to the end.
sure.
So this is one more step in the process.
One question. The interest, the $303,000 interest, will that be reimbursed by FEMA also?
Well, I've heard two things on that. I heard they can and I heard they cannot, so I can't really answer that question. But I'd say FEMA would probably be able to give you for sure on that. I have talked to counties that say they are trying to get their interest on it. You may be able to. That would be fantastic. You would have that reimbursed for you. So.
You know, we were, of course, when you say we were told, you know, we were told before the last hurricane and this hurricane.
I know.
And I can't imagine, you know, when you look at, all projects are important, but when you have people with nothing.
Right,
But nonetheless, you know, I trust that the FEMA process,
right.
once these are started, will continue on. But it was my understanding that, you know, probably 90 days or so, I guess where I'm going, Jim, is hopefully it wouldn't amount to that much interest.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you close, we'll have, you know,
Yeah.
you'll be the principal paid off because you'll be paying the monthly.
I'm really hoping that if it goes into 2026, it wouldn't go very deep into 2026 by the time. So this would probably cut in half.
Oh, yeah, you probably for sure. I just, as I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to give you some cushion there for the 3 years to make sure we get it all worked out. So.
And I believe we have to come up with 13% of it. Is that?
Yes, I believe.
Anyhow?
Yeah. Do you need financing for that, or will you be able to handle that during your budget?
I think we've got that budgeted already.
Okay.
So just the over and above that.
Yeah. Good.
Does that all sound correct, Doug and Brittany? Does that all sound correct?
That's it. I got that on, I'll fill it out and send it to you, Ron.
That'll be for your next budget year.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
that project will take 4 months to complete. It'll most likely start in May and then running for that next year when you start actually making those payments over 4 months. But FEMA could take up to 6 months to reimburse that depending on what their funding looks like.
Well, I just know our engineer said it would probably be after July before the company needed to draw anyhow. So, but I'm pretty sure we can get by until then.
Yeah,
So,
and like I said, this is just a rough estimate. Hopefully it'll break down and we'll get a little better rate once we close. So.
Well, to get the ball rolling, we need a motion to approve this ordinance formally.
Yes. Approve the first reading of this ordinance and then we'll send it on and then we'll have a second reading
I'll make that
soon
motion.
in the future. All right, is there a second?
Okay.
All right, we have a motion by Zach, seconded by Jim, to approve the ordinance that's in your book on page 36 and 37, ordinance 4, 2025 series. It's approving a lease for the financing of the project, provided for the payment security of the lease, creating the sinking fund, authorize the execution of various documents related to such lease, and making certain designations regarding such lease. This is pertaining to the Old Hetty Bridge construction project. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
I want Lonnie to maybe explain that if we borrow money for something else that's under the 500,000, how that works, since, I mean, we've used them
Yeah,
for years, but
Be good.
in the last few years, we haven't had
Right.
any leases, so.
Right.
or, you know, short-term loans or even long-term loans.
Yeah.
You know, what are y'all offering?
Sure, we offer really a variety of packages. If you ever want to finance something long-term, like 10, 20 years, we've got what we call a KECO bond pool, which we're getting really good rates on that. Probably for 20 years, you're looking at almost about 4.5, which is good fixed rate for that term. We also have an internal loan fund. If you have a lower amount, like less than 100,000, maybe right at 100,000 for vehicles, we have the internal loan fund right now, which is at 5.5, but it's tied to the Fed rate, so every time the Fed rate goes down, our internal loan goes down. And then we have our banking, which this is what this is going to be through, our banking lease program, where we have about 7 banks that we kind of have a relationship with, where we try to get the best rate we can for you. So, and then I believe they raised that to 200,000. Anything up to 200,000, you gotta notify DLG. You don't have to get approval. Anything above 500,000, you gotta get approval for.
Okay.
But how long does that process under 200,000 take?
Not hardly at all. All you have to do is notify them. So, and for us, if you got an internal loan, we can give you the money in a If it's a bank lease, it's usually 2 or 3 weeks, where we can do it for you. But internal loan, we could close as soon as you wanted to, so.
All right, any other questions?
Sorry to put you on the spot there. but I
No, you're
figured
fine.
We got a lot of new court members, so I figured.
Me and Doug have worked together for a long time, so, yeah, long time.
Well, and we've got a lot of projects that, you know, on our radars.
Sure.
And of course, you know, you dream big and then you cut back to what you can afford. And so
Y'all are
far,
doing real well. I looked at your audits and your financials, y'all are doing real well. We've seen times where it hasn't been as well, but we definitely, y'all are doing a great job. Y'all doing a great job.
well, we thank you.
Oh, you're
And,
welcome.
You're welcome to stay or you're free,
I think I'm gonna
welcome to
head
go
back.
too.
I'm gonna head back to the office and get
All right.
some more work done. See you later.
All right, thank you.
All right.
We'll be getting everything to you.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you all for that. On page 38 through 48, and I asked Julie, if you don't mind, Julie, just come up, and then we'll, we got these flood insurance maps that Julie has in her hand, and we basically got a letter on September 12th, and I think we have 90 days from the date of that letter.
Well, when reading the letter, it talks about it had to be posted in the Spencer Magnet twice. So I looked to make sure, and it has done both of those. So the 26th of September was the last time it was ringing. So, not 100% by the way it reads, if it's after the 26th you have your days, but the letter says appeal starts. So that, it's kind of confusing where that 90 days gets.
Yeah, but I guess what I want to impress upon everyone, the urgency has started. And I advise or would suggest to you guys to try to make some time and go look at all these maps, especially in your areas, to see if the flood maps are accurate. I remember looking through them when they were in my office, and I had a question to Julie about, like over at Ray Jewell Park, the original Ray Jewell Park. I don't know if you have that map.
I got it on the top.
And, because it seemed like those apartments might have been done incorrectly, or maybe, or are they? I don't know if you got a chance to look at them.
Well, we originally got the maps, there was conflicting information, because the paper map showed one thing.
Yeah.
But the paper map showed one thing, and then the maps that they had on the computer was something different. So myself and David Spencer, we went to a meeting that they had, and they were supposed to be fixing that to make them match, because,
And, well, you're good, but like over where our, if you like the Lake Flat, where it's
Okay.
kind of hold up for everybody to see.
Show me, and then I can point it out.
Like our animal shelter is right in this area. According to this map, it's not in the floodplain. See right here? And we did have to pay a little extra money, you guys remember, to keep it in the floodplain. Try to get small. See this little brown, here's the dollar store, here's our animal shelter. According to this map, it's not in the floodplain. We had to build it up. Well, of course, this hasn't gotten into effect yet.
Oh,
So, but that's why I wanna, you guys look at areas where you represent and make sure that people are accurately reflected. And then another point of view, if you look over here at Ray Jewell Park, they've got all the apartments in the floodplain. That would be this area. So here's the park, here's the parking lot, here's the apartments. They're in the floodplain. So, I mean, we need to appeal that, in my opinion. Y'all, everybody see that? That's just an example of where there could be some inconsistencies.
didn't the park get a little one?
So,
But this is the apartments. that are beside the park.
How much higher are they?
A lot.
The four line will get us the water.
Do you have the old map that you?
I can't remember if they said
I think I have
four lane or.
So we can't get those to.
I'm pretty certain.
and they're online too.
Except
We'll get those, like, take home and look at it, or you need to keep them.
Well, got one set, so they all said to stay here because
I can't imagine
anybody in the
100 years
community,
like
now that
that.
that's been advertised, the community can come in and look at those now also. And that's another part of it.
Yeah, I knew that one had some inconsistencies.
Right.
Do you have, are you able to print in those
Yeah,
all?
but they're always,
Or
we can't
can Lynn, maybe Lynn's office, print the post office with any one,
Or Kim's
or
office,
CBA?
if we
I mean,
needed a bigger.
possibly, I mean, I can't at the moment, but, I mean, they may be able to. If there's one specific that you wanted or something, because you wouldn't.
Are they on the hunt anywhere?
They are.
Mm-hmm.
They are. But, what I was gonna say is that 90-day appeal period is for community-wide, you know, you guys as government officials, but also for any citizen.
Yes,
And so the way that works is they can come in the office, they can look at the maps, they can, you know, go online, look at the maps. But anything they wanna appeal, they have to bring it to me. Then we submit our appeal all together. So they can't be sending stuff and us sending stuff too, it all has to go together. Or if we decide after we've done general consensus that everything's okay, we let them know that we don't have any issues, you know, at the end of that 90 days.
you know, a concern I have is that it's like those apartments over there, I'm not sure who owns them, but regardless, if they were required to have flood insurance, whatever they're charging people, they probably have to charge $200 more a month. And then you've got an affordability issue for the folks, you know, to pay that, especially if it's not necessary.
Right.
So that's why I asked Julie to just make us all aware that we need to be looking at,
The maps are down online from Thursday, October 24th to Sunday, October 27th, just FYI.
Oh, I was looking it up.
they're offline or online?
Offline,
Offline.
for upgrades.
Like 4 days? Okay. But at best, and then I want to just tell the community, if you think you could be in a floodplain, it's worth checking out. And then, of course, you know, it'll go both ways. There could be some places that should be, and for sure, I think we found one that shouldn't be, in my opinion. So I don't want costs to go up and it interfere with people's ability to pay their rents.
Well, and now that you brought that to, you know, to the attention, you know, I can pull the old one and see, it may have not changed, it may have always.
It may have that's correct. It may have always been, you're exactly right. So,
Because I tried to go over them even before Karen and I went to that meeting and kind of skim with the old map and the new map and mark off, you know, if I saw anything, you know.
Because it doesn't show you anything added or redacted, it just shows you what
the
they got.
proposed.
What they
Exactly.
proposed.
Yeah, yeah. But if nothing's changed, this is what it will be.
Right.
Right. Right. If we don't appeal it any way, this is what we'll go to.
To go to, yeah.
Do you have a web address other than FEMA.gov? Because I'm sure it's got 1,000 different things.
Would you look up?
FEMA.gov.
Yeah, I will send it out to you. It's
Okay.
pretty lengthy.
Right.
It's FEMAmaps.fema.gov and then there's
Yeah.
forward slashes and a whole lot of stuff after that. But yeah.
I think it's on page 38 in y'all's books.
It's on the front of that cover letter.
Yeah, about midways down through there, there's a HTTPS goes all the way across there. FloodMapsFEMA.gov /
Oh, I see it there.
And that may just be where the notice is. I'm not 100%. It said that's where you can find a notice. But I've got more documentation and stuff up there that came with the maps that may have a different web address that I can get to you.
All right, yeah, well, I wanted everyone to be aware of this because this affects us. If it doesn't, yeah, you're in good shape, Dan, up at your house, but you're in good shape up on the hill at your
Well, they
place.
said when I closed on it, this 25 years ago, it was in a 100-year floodplain.
Up on that hill?
The damn floods, we're in a lot of trouble.
Well, I tell you what, if it
Must be
rains,
going back to the ark.
you're right. If it rained 30 inches here like it did in North Carolina, we would look just like North Carolina guys, I'm telling you. But anyway, all right, do y'all have any other questions? That runs through page 48 on that, but Julie, thank you for that.
That does look to be the right address. That's what's in the notice.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, good deal. let's see, I have a National 4-H Week proclamations on page 49. I think some of the 4-Hers are coming this afternoon to do a picture with the proclamation. But basically, 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, having supported almost 6 million youth across the country thus far. And 4-H has helped 202,467 youth across the Commonwealth of Kentucky become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders. Whereas 4-H is delivered by the Cooperative Extension Service, a community of more than 100 public universities across the nation that provides experiences where young people learn by doing hands-on projects in areas including health, science, ag, and citizenship. And whereas National 4-H Week showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Kentucky who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And 4-H's network of 600,000 volunteers, 3,500 professionals, provides caring and supportive mentoring to all 4-Hers, helping them grow into true leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Therefore, I, Scott Travis, Prince County Judge Executive, do hereby proclaim October 6th through 12th, 2024 as National 4-H Week throughout the County of Spencer. Encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for the significant impact it has made and continues to make by empowering youth with the skills they need to lead for a future. And I will sign this. I want to ask the audience, how many in here were 4-Hers when they were kids?
I'm not bothered.
Well, you too. I'm sorry, all of us.
I wasn't at that thing,
But anyway, 4-H is a good thing, and I'll get that signed, but I wanted to read that into the record. Okay, we're getting ready to have citizen comment. On page 50.
Did you skip number 4?
Yeah, I did.
Animal shelter update.
Yeah, well, I don't have, I did. Sorry about that.
Update is there.
Update is there is no update. And basically, we may have to pay for our water meter and sewer deposit.
Okay,
And then it's like $5,700 somewhere?
$5,600.
Dan and I are going to the council meeting tomorrow night.
Okay.
And ask them that they will pay for that.
Okay.
And also I'm meeting with Doug White immediately after this meeting with Victoria to go over some things.
Yeah.
Just a little background. The back section that's unheated, Victoria says she's got all these kennels, the metal, racks and partitions that she thinks we need to put up in that back section, because we've got them. And if that happens, Doug White says we'll need a floor drain in there for that, which is not in the contract, And if we do need a drain, the plumber has to draw it back up and send it to the state plumbing department again for approval, which may take 2, 3, 4 weeks to that approval to come back, like it did the last time. So we're gonna go over and meet today and talk about that and see what Victoria's ideas are. And so
She's probably right. We do need to have a drain in that and have water in it.
it's got to be tied into the sewer system also.
Right. Yeah, it'll need that, and that'll be a overrun, guys, but
Overflow section, plus if you got parvo dogs or something, they have to be totally separated. That'd be a good place to put them.
And then also, if we experienced this in the last court, is that when it got really cold, there's no heat in that back section, and it's not insulated. So we may have to look at insulating the walls and putting a metal sealant in that section also, and maybe give us a propane heater, propane heater, like you guys have got, heat your shops, and just to keep the dogs comfortable.
yeah. So, I mean, we'll probably need that because anytime we go up, over a certain number, we have to set up the portable kennels.
And you never know when you might get a call where somebody's got 50 dogs out there and you gotta go get them.
Right.
At one time, so. Anyway, I'll let you know what that meeting.
All right, yeah, I mean, we probably need to get a cost estimate and so forth on that. And I know it'll delay some, but I'm sure they can work elsewhere.
Well, they've already poured in floor in that back section, right?
No.
No,
I
not
thought we
right.
were in.
On
Are we pouring the concrete floor in the back section?
They were gonna pour the floor, try to pour the floor first before they put the metal on, so they don't splash it up on the inside of the metal and all that, but, that was the plan, pour the floor first. But if they put a drain in it, then they could, I would suggest them to just go ahead and put the metal on it and be done with it, and then we pour the floor afterwards. But we pull a truck in that back door, concrete truck, so.
Pour it. I think too, do we have the, I didn't know we put it up for bid, but we got some sort of plans so we can have people bid the additional work?
No one bid. We advertised for the kennels and no one bid.
Well, I didn't
We're
know.
gonna need to rebid. We're gonna need
Yeah,
to,
we put it in the paper, set it out for bid.
they didn't get any bids, so we need to rebid that.
Yeah, we talked about it here, whenever because he was the only one that bid on it first time, I think, right?
Doug White was, yeah.
Yeah,
And we could, if it's under, what, 40,000, we don't have to figure that anyway. I mean, we could just have to let them do it, because he's got the plans, he knows what it's all about.
Well-
He's gonna bid on it.
I know we've had that discussion, but we need to advertise again since we got no bids, and then if he wants to bid, he'll need to bid then.
He didn't bid either.
No. I talked to him and I said, we didn't get no bids, and he forgot and missed it. So, but, we will rebid that again. Now, basically, the city is either gonna give us the meter and the sewer hookup, or they're gonna make us pay. And we had to send the documents. There's no issue with the right-of-way from the school in Spencer County. The issue is in Frankfurt. They have to approve it still. So there's nothing else that can be done here locally as far as the school system. They've done their part. We've done our part. Now it's at the Department of Education. So, but we did put the city did give us a meter to stick on the fire hydrant where they can have water. And they have that now. And I think they're not charging us for that water and not using that. They are giving us that. Take what you can get, I guess. But as far as the meter and the sewer hookup, if you all are going to a meeting, we can wait on that, because we can do it next meeting, see what they say. If they refuse to give us a meter and hook us up on the sewer, then we'll take that up later.
We'll try to talk to them too.
All right, that's fair enough.
I'll pay for that, I'm sorry for the
Let's see, the CPP list, we went around, we've got to have this turned in by October 15th. And last year, we were fortunate to get 3 roads included. And I've got 10 roads on here. The worst roads, I think, on the list is Oaks Lane and Lakeview Drive. Miller Road will probably work also, because they gotta be a 9 or a 10, the way they look at them. So, this is separate from where we use budgeted money. This is separate from the flex funding that we get.
This is what he used to call discretionary.
Yeah, now it's called CPPP.
I mean, these are in order.
No.
Miller and Oaks is,
No particular order.
okay, I was gonna say, they should be at the front.
Yeah, well, they look at all, the way they're supposed to do it, they'll come look at all 10 of them, and then they'll say, these are the junkiest you got. They'll qualify. And of course, that's how we got Cooks Lane, Hoagland Road, and then they've done them, and then they're gonna do Schultz. The plan is to have all the blacktopping done before November. And we're still a goal with every road that we have taken action on. So,
Speaking of, just for a second.
yeah,
I'm not down the rabbit hole. When they repaid 155 from Taylorsville to Elk Creek, there are like eight spots from Taylorsville to Elk Creek where they started and stopped on the paving at night. That's rough. You go over and bump up. And anyway, I emailed Matt Bullock at the 5th District station and told him about it, and if there was any way they could mill that out and redo it. And basically just like traffic runs over it, it'll get smooth, blah, blah, blah. Well, I went to Lake Cumberland this past week, and we drove down 55 through Springfield, Lebanon, 127. Those roads do not, they've all been repaved.
They're nice, too.
Not one rough spot in 100 miles going down there and back.
55 almost rougher than what it was before they paved it.
And the roads, not just the rough spots where they started and stopped, but the road in general, if you'll,
It's got that quiver to it.
yeah, all the way. And I asked Matt if he could hold the contractor responsible for the workmanship, and didn't get a satisfactory answer, so I'm thinking, well, probably back again.
Global pavement did that.
But anyway, it's not a quality job compared to some of the other roads.
Well,
I agree with you on that, it didn't turn out like it should
Yeah,
have.
just, and, you know, I don't know why it's from Taylorsville to Elk Creek, there's 8 spots, but from Elk Creek back this way.
It's like you're past the country mark there, and you get first little hump going out that way, it's like speed bump, it ain't no little bump.
you know, I'm hoping that they'll get the rest of Mill Road and get 1633 this fall also.
Well, I think 1633 was in next year's budget.
Scott's wishful thinking.
No, they stood right here and they said if we get that resolution in there, that there's a chance they could get it. So I'm gonna hold them to that. So we'll see. All right, that takes care of everything we've got under communications. That was actually about half our meeting, so that's good. Communications from citizens, anyone in the, oh, Mr. Barnett, I seen you come in. Yeah, anyone can address us right now.
Ray Manley, 3759 Plum Creek Road. Didn't come to address FEMA, but I want to make one comment. They paint with a broad brush. They don't recognize irregularities. After it's all done, you still can go back and get what's called a LOMA, which is a local something map adjustment. They're expensive. I spent about $4,000 or $5,000 getting my house, barns taken out of floodplain with one. But when the surveyor comes in, it takes everything into consideration. That can happen for people. So just keep that in mind. I want to say thanks to everybody who put on the Oktoberfest. A lot of work went into that program, and it's one of the best festivals I've been to. And all of the workers were around, they were all visible with their shirts on. You had a problem, all you had to do was look and you found somebody that you could ask about it. It was a good opportunity to bring everybody together and just remind everybody that we have a whole lot more that unites us than divides us. Makes for a much happier and better place to live in the world. The parade was great. I've been around parades since the early days of the Derby Parade, when I used to got that tall and go watch it. All through high school, marched in it. I enjoyed the parade. Take my grandson in my car with me. Those are memories he'll have forever. I had three great-grandchildren that were on floats in the parade. They will remember those forever. It's a great day for everybody that gets out there, and everybody that puts it on deserves a real pat on the back for all the efforts that it takes to put something like that on. The other thing it does, it's a great opportunity to recognize our first responders. Oftentimes when we see first responders, we're either in an accident or getting a ticket or our house is on fire or going to the hospital, and we don't get a chance to celebrate them and appreciate their efforts. And when they're going down the road with their equipment, with the crowds in front of them cheering it, that's the way it should be. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. The Oktoberfest committee puts a lot into it, and then I am happy that Spencer County Fiscal Court does make a contribution to the Oktoberfest committee. We have the last couple of years, and I think we all agree with the statements that were made that it was a good, very good event. Franklin, you want to come up?
Yes, please. I believe you addressed it a little while ago on the, not too close.
You're okay.
Anyway, the Elk Creek paving, not the Elk Creek itself, but from Taylorsville to Elk Creek. It's got a lot of bumps in it, like you was telling, but it's also got where the drives are. It's 5.5 and 6 inches at my drive to try to get up on the pavement. And I just believe that they can grind that down or should have sloped it down, or is it gonna be my responsibility to get some pavement and bring it down? So if you could look into that. I went up to the highway department up here, and they said they had a lot of problems with that, but that's all I got, so. And the judge did give me some numbers to call and try to get something done. But if you can address that, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
Along that line, Jim, I was at another residence the other day that measured 7 inches.
Really?
If they, and I guess that's on the state right away, where, and they should be responsible for adding some gravel where people can get up on it. I mean, and if somebody comes, drops a tire off, it could cause a wreck.
I would think they would blacktop over to the state line, because like Smiley's, I'm sure that the property line, state line is way past, where they stop blacktop, and they just did feather it down enough.
Right.
I'll give it my bullet about that.
Go ahead.
All right, good morning, I'm Catherine Scott, I'm the tourism director, if you haven't met me yet. I will be more formally addressing you guys at the next meeting here in October, but I have a few things I just wanted to talk about and a couple of questions before that meeting. I hope that's all right. Let's see here. So, most importantly, you might be wondering who that small child is. That's one of my 4 children. She's on her fall break. They all are. So I'm trying to spare my husband one child at a time. And also, it's good to see how government works, right? So I think it's real important. So this is Helen Scott. All right, so we have a fairly urgent situation with our ordinance on the transient room tax. The Kentucky Tourism is suing Airbnb, as you guys might be aware of, because they have, we believe, misled the people who use Airbnb to rent out their short-term rentals. They indicate that they do remit all state and local taxes on their behalf, but in fact, they do not. So it's my understanding that the state may get its 1%, but then, like for instance, with our county, we do not get our 3% transient room tax from that. To strengthen the case that the state of Kentucky has lodged, we need to provide an updated transient room tax ordinance to them and that is matching what the state's ordinance is. They passed, I believe it was House Bill 8 back in to start January of 2023, that would lump all the short-term rentals that were previously just kind of in their own categories to qualify for sure the transient room tax. So I have sent the local ordinances of ours over to our county and city attorneys, but I'm hoping that we can, at our October 21st meeting here, that we can review any recommended changes and updates to that ordinance so that we can start to have it read. Because there's urgency to the adopting of it to make sure that we're supporting every way that we can to make sure that we then get those taxes in return. So you look like you had a question about that.
Well, I was, and is there any other citizens that were going to speak today? Yeah, generally we don't interact when we have the citizen comment,
okay.
But I'll go ahead and we'll close the citizen comment since this may require some action.
I apologize.
No,
I'm
you're
not
good.
familiar with the process.
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah, absolutely, you're good. But no, I had my thought was that is this, if we do redo our ordinance, is it creating an additional tax or is it just okay? Explain again what it's doing.
It would clarify. Well, okay. So say that somebody has their own home and they're using a room in it as an Airbnb. At this point, our ordinance does not specify that they would absolutely be a short-term rental that would have to remit the transient room tax. So they could say, well, I didn't realize that was the case, and then it could be an issue with us trying to collect them. But the state of Kentucky has passed House Bill 8 indicating that for sure that is an Airbnb, that type of property. They do need to pay a transient room tax on that if there's a local ordinance that states that. So all we need to do is just clarify in our ordinance who it applies to, not that there is a tax already. There already is a tax, and really, they know that they're supposed to, but there's a little bit of wiggle room there, so we need to close that gap, very much so. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping, that we can look at it more urgently, so that we can hopefully move forward with that and support Kentucky tourism overall. Then I also just wanted to say that I have established a couple of new partnerships with some organizations in the area. We're working with Main Street on the Christmas parade and the Christmas tree. I want to let you know, Dan, especially that I'm working on that. And I'd love to know who I should contact about exactly what kind of electricity I can be expecting to use, how big the tree will be, because I don't want there to be any fires in the middle of our parade. So.
Well, there's a tree that's been donated, a live tree.
Okay.
And I've been out looking 3 times. Twice I know I was on the wrong, well, I didn't know at the time. I was on the wrong road, and then I was told it was on the road. I couldn't find it. There were some pretty trees there, but they weren't them. They would have worked.
Okay.
But be up there chopping down somebody's tree in their yard. And then I got the actual address, and I went looking, and I was on the wrong road. So I still haven't put my eyes on the tree, but someone is donating a 15-foot spruce type looking tree that they want out of their yard.
Fantastic.
And I think Main Street is all over getting that tree. And we still haven't poured the slab, but we voted to do it. We're going to do that when we get, beyond these fall road needs that we're trying to get accomplished. I figured it'd be a good, pretty week in November project that we can get done when blacktopping finishes.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we're still open on the tree, because whenever I do see that tree, no one else has seen it but the owner, and I plan to, but it could not work. And then we'll go to option 2,
Okay.
at least this year.
Oh,
But anyway, we're still open, and I still love the idea that everybody I pitched it to, if everybody put in a little bit, we could get a fancy, nice tree that we'd use every year.
Absolutely.
But if we want to use this live tree this year, I don't care, I just hope we can have a tree.
Okay. And tourism had committed previously to $5,000 towards the decorating of the tree, and so we are excited to do that.
Y'all are still on board with that?
We
Okay.
are, absolutely.
That helps.
Yes, and I can't wait to go up and down and whatever cherry picker we can find.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. The other kind of connections that I've made that I believe are going to be very beneficial to tourism are that I'm working very closely with Derek at the state park now. I'm supporting him aggressively with Facebook, social media support, advertising, and I believe that that's going to make a very large difference in our tourism heads and beds numbers coming in. And then also, I've identified that one of our major issues, I'm sure you'll all laugh at me, this is not news to you guys, but there's a real problem with businesses closing on Main Street, with the sustaining of small business here. And I'm sure that there's a lot of work that you all are doing to try and boost the numbers of new businesses coming in. But I would love to know if there are any kind of incentives that I can offer, that I can advertise to people, hey, bring your business here if it's a tourism-related business. So if there's anybody who would be willing to reach out to me about that, I would very much appreciate that. I want to do everything I can to make sure that there's something for people to do when I bring them in. All right, that is all I have for today. I'm sorry for going out of order, and I promise to talk a whole lot more at the end of the month.
Yeah, what we need to do is we'll include you on the agenda, you know, under tourism.
Yes.
You know, at any time, just please let us know across the road.
Yes.
And we'll have you on here going forward. So, but while you're here, I had a talk with a fellow the other day up at the state park. And we had communications about, some of the weeds that weren't getting mowed. And I impressed upon him that when people come to town, we want them to stay all weekend. We're kind of a day trip instead of a weekend trip. You know, like a lot of people go for 2 or 3 days somewhere else, but they don't come here for 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to expand the lake to where we can have weekend destinations.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, one thought we have had was if we had a beach, if we had more water access, if you had more boat ramps, if you had kayak ramps, you know, the conversation started with getting the weeds mowed at County Lane. And it turned into discussions. Well, the county at one point had 150 acres leased. A few years ago, they had an issue with the sanitation at Edgewater, and I think we gave the lease back up. They took care of the problem. We potentially could go and get that leased again. And he explained to me, like at Settlers Trace down here, where the main boat ramp and marina is, the guy running the marina takes care of, he has control of all the water access there, basically. It's on him to keep the logs cleared. Now, if they got a big hole in the parking lot, I think the state or the Corps will pay for that. But we could basically operate similar to that if the county chose to, through tourism, through economic development, because this all points in that direction.
Yes.
But we could get a lease, we could get that lease again, and he said all the property, when you're going from the gas station toward the dam, it would be everything on the left, from Settlers Point there, Settlers Trace, boat ramp, all the way up to the dam, that potentially all that could be available for us to lease, and you would have water access. Now, they're not giving you any money to do anything. They're just saying, here's the ground.
You know, obviously, what you're talking about is true, that, you know, KIPDA and QK4 and I are working on a state master plan for the park, and they will give you grant money for that.
Yeah.
So they're working on it, we're working with Shepherdsville, working with the parks, so I'm more than happy to include you on those plans.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all kind of the same conversation, which I wanted to go ahead and have it with everyone. I just had this conversation, I think, Friday afternoon. I called a fellow in the courthouse there, but anyway, that's just, appreciate your efforts. Stan?
Do we need a motion to, about developing an ordinance that matches the state ordinance?
Well, we don't need one specific in writing, right?
Yeah, we don't have anything right now at the moment.
I'll bring something for the 21st.
Oh, you are working on?
I talked with Vicki Yates Listen
Okay.
last Thursday, and then I talked with
Scott.
right Saturday at the Progressive Dinner Center.
So you're working on the ordinance?
They sent me that. I'm going to try to talk to Robert Miles, hopefully, see if the city's interested in changing theirs, and if not, we can discuss that. But as far as parameters of what you all want, you know, we can iron that out on Monday. Well, the 21st, sorry.
Yeah, next meeting. All right, is that okay, Dan? So, all right, we got it in the works. But good discussion. Y'all have any other questions for Ms. Scott? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. All right, down in communications and F, Julie has a lot of stuff. And I would prefer that we give us another couple weeks to read all this. Anyone object to that?
As far as the first reading,
The distillery ordinances, yes. That's in this packet.
we'll have 2 weeks if we have the first reading today before we have the second.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just delaying it another 2 weeks when
Yes,
we're behind schedule on it anyway.
well,
And I'll give you a heads up, you got about 8 more coming right behind this one.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that we shouldn't have a special call meeting to just address that sometime in the future. Now, I do know even if we did pass this today, we'd have to do a second reading where we could make changes. Because if we wanted to change this today, I mean, the time to change it is next time, not today, correct?
Yeah, you.
Right, yeah, you would add that, whatever changes you wanted to make,
You
that
add
would be part of your
today.
motion.
Today,
Yes.
No, not today, today's just first reading. So if you wanted to make changes, that would be in your motion at your next meeting.
Yeah. So we got 2 weeks to look it over.
I don't understand why we do it that way either. I mean, in my opinion, it makes more sense if you have your first reading, say, hey, these are the changes, it gives you all time to review what we think needs changed. And then, you know, because the second reading is final.
The thing about it is, we didn't have enough time today to come up with any kind of.
Well, I think that's what Scott said.
yeah, I mean, I've got some interested parties that I know they don't like a lot of this. But, I mean, it's up to the court, if they want to pass these today, we can make changes before the next time, you know, or we can just put it off till next time.
Well, if
The way I've always been told on these is that's why you have 2 readings. Your first reading is just informative, to give it to you all, make you familiar, let you know, give you the minutes so that you can see the planning commission's been working on these since like March. So, I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into it, and we were like on draft number 8 or 9 before we ever got to where we felt comfortable bringing it to you. But, again, so that's the way I've always understood. The first meeting is informative, just so that you all have it. Then you've got that 2 weeks to review and, prepare any proposed changes you might.
I say,
No, we don't have to vote on the first reading anyway, do
No,
we?
you do nothing today on it
That's
at
what I'm
all.
saying, it's just.
Could I say something real quick?
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
I'm kind of reading the room here, and it kind of seems like that, you've been in contact with a lot of people that these proposed ordinances will directly affect. You kind of know what their thoughts are on things. Generally, can speak as far as the fiscal court, as far as kind of what we kind of think, as far as the direction the county wants to take. Would it be wrong for you to maybe attend the next planning and zoning meeting and kind of say, this is the concerns that I have with it, and then that would give them some more direction to fine tune it to something that the fiscal court would like for the first proposal? So it's not, so we don't have a first reading, and then you want to turn it on its head in 2 weeks and then bring it back. So then, like, you get 80% of the stuff ironed out, and then we just got to nitpick a couple little things in that 2 week period.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think you said this in the minutes, that once fiscal court gets this, and in the second reading, whatever changes we want to make, fiscal court wants to make, we make them, and that's final. It doesn't go back to planning and zoning anymore.
Exactly.
Whatever we decide to do is final.
We done the public hearing. That's the required part of it. We've been doing public hearings, like I said, since March, and we've not had anybody walk in the meeting and give their opinions.
Well, I to Michael's point,
That's the thing, is they should have attended the public hearing so that we would know in advance what people felt we needed to change to get it to you all.
what are you hearing that people are not liking about what's on here? Because I read through this, I read through it.
well, one for somewhere in here, one of these.
I mean, we can talk about that.
I mean, yeah, we talk about anything.
I mean, so what are you hearing that people?
Well, like selling products from somewhere else while yours is fermenting. So basically, if you're a distillery and you're making product and it's not going to be, the barrel's not going to be rolled out and cracked for 5-6 years, you don't have a product to sell in the meantime. So they'll get products from elsewhere and sell. This doesn't allow that. So you can't open your store for 7 years.
And you can find that addressed in the minutes, because I brought that up at the planning commission level. And I had one board member that has lived in California, and he said, you go to the Napa Valley, you're producing your own stuff. You don't wanna advertise somebody else's stuff, because when yours rolls out on the floor, they may like the other person's better and not come back. And that's generally.
Yeah, that's not our choice, it should be theirs.
I've been to several wineries, and they never sell anything but their own wine.
Well, once you get established, that's good.
But here's the thing with winery, you don't have to worry about growing your own grapes. Most wineries don't grow their own grapes. They grow a small amount of them, but they buy the grape juice from producers, and you can make wine out of it in very little, very short time.
I mean, into this, if you were still in bourbon, it takes about 7 years for it to permit. So, I get it, but, that's their choice to be in business, so.
Well, they do.
Well, today, all that I was bringing before you though is small craft distilleries, Class B, in Ag 1 and industrial. So I've not brought you anything to do with wineries yet. Or, so that discussion's not pertaining to this, those, I feel like they're gonna vote on the 17th of October, and you all will get, the commercial end of all of these, and micro breweries and wineries after that meeting.
And like, I've been to a couple of distillery openings also, and they can produce gin, which long before they could produce bourbon. So what they'll do is they'll sell their gin and their vodka or whatever before they.
And I think on here, it's just trying to not be able to sell any outside alcoholic. Right, they can sell Coke or whatever, not crap, right?
You're gonna go to the distillery and buy your local Coke.
Well, I'm just saying to go there with it.
Well, it'd be my suggestion that we take this and do nothing today, maybe have a discussion, and then 2 weeks later, at our next meeting, everybody go through it and hash out what they want to talk about and change, and then have that discussion then.
Have the first reading later?
No, we'll have the first reading today, and 2 weeks from now, everybody can go through this at night, or whenever they want to do it, make a recommendation, each one of us, on what we like and don't like, and then in the second reading, we can hash it all out and vote on it.
And it's not mandatory that the next meeting we pass a second reading. If we can't agree at the next meeting, we can postpone it to the meeting after.
Correct.
For a second reading.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
But the way this works anymore, the way our newspaper falls,
Yes.
so before this meeting, I had to advertise I'm doing second reading at the next meeting for it to hit right for advertisement. Otherwise, this would take, I do a first reading, and you have 2 meetings before I've got the second reading.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard.
You've
because-
already sent the ad
Yeah, I had
for
to
the
send it
second reading.
Thursday.
You had to send it Thursday.
Right, to make the time frame
Yeah, for
to
this
get on the
coming.
next meeting.
That's fine, I said we keep moving forward with it, we'll hash it out.
Yeah. Later?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want me to read them into the record then correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have proposed ordinance number 2. It's an ordinance amending Article 3, Section 300.3, Item L of the Taylorsville, Spencer County zoning regulations regarding conditional uses allowed in an Ag 1 agricultural zone pertaining to craft distilleries, Class B only. Again, this was presented by the Planning Commission. Commissioner Fowl made a motion to send this revision of Ag 1 agricultural, which includes craft Lord, I can't speak, craft distilleries Class B, it's running together, regulations to fiscal court for their approval. Commissioner Hunt seconded that motion. After a roll call vote, motion carried. And then I also have proposed ordinance number 3, which is an ordinance amending Article 7, Section 700.3, Item C of the Taylorsville, Spencer County zoning regulations regarding conditional uses allowed in the I-1 industrial zone pertaining to craft distilleries Class B only. And that one comes to you by motion made by Commissioner Wheatley making the motion to incorporate the changes that they've made in discussion for agricultural and industrial sections with the other changes we've made for the craft distillery Class B section. Commissioner Fowl seconded that motion after a roll call vote. Motion carried with Commissioners Osborne, Travis, and Hunt opposing, Commissioners Wheatley, Fowl, and Mudd in favor, causing a tie vote. Chairman Brown voted in favor, motion passes. So that's got those two before you. And then, like I said, I'll have several more to follow.
Okay. Another concern, a county that joins us, I don't think has any zoning regulations. They just follow the state regulations. And I don't know that I'm ready for us to just follow the state regulations, because then you'd have a lot of big stuff. And not that we are against big stuff, but I don't know that we're ready to make decisions on the best places for big stuff. I guess that's the best way to say that. Another concern is that it all goes through the Board of Adjustments. Everything goes through the Board of Adjustments. So that kind of restricts entrepreneurship and investment, because you're afraid that you're not going to present it to where it passes Board of Adjustments. Whereas it would be more of not more of an obstacle, but an additional obstacle, versus if you had regulations to where you could just come in and get a permit from Julie. So that's something else to consider as we go forward. And I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna just operate the whole time under a conditional use permit with how this is wrote up, correct?
Right, and what they do, it calls for them to give annual reports, back to the Board of Adjustments. That way we know that they're operating as they're supposed to. It's kind of a checks and balance system, that if they go in under this zoning, that they're only gonna produce, I think this is the one that's 50,000 gallons or less a year. And if they kick us a report and we see that they've done 70,000 gallons, then they no longer fall under state guidelines for this type of distillery, but they also don't follow what they agreed to in the Board of Adjustments.
But I'm sorry, that things happen and things change, and we don't want someone to be out of compliance and then Board of Adjustments shut them down after they have a $5 million investment in their county. Those are things we've got to watch for.
But I think with Board of Adjustments in general, with most everything we do, after they've operated for so many years at doing the same thing, they've held in compliance and they've done good, it basically becomes a established use. It's considered non-conforming because they're doing something different that's not allowed straight up in that zone, but as long as they don't expand it or change it significantly, they'll be able to operate. They're not gonna pull it out from under them.
It's a lot of things to consider.
Regulation, and they go get a permit from Julie, and that's that. I have to agree with that.
I mean, what we did, we used, we started back when Lysana was here. I'm gonna go way back, and she had come up with some stuff, and we built off of that. And we pulled Nelson County's regulations, we pulled Shelby County's regulations. I've talked to Bullitt County multiple times. I mean, this isn't something that we just pull out of our hats. I talked to Jessamine County just recently. There's been several counties that we've talked to trying to make sure what we're doing is in line, So
Are
I
all the
think,
places operating on a conditional use permit?
Just not in Bullitt County, right? Because I think Bullitt County follows the state guidelines.
maybe so.
But, I mean, it's a lot of things to consider, and we want to get it right, because when money comes to your town wanting to invest, I hope we can welcome them rather than put up obstacles. So,
Right, but at the same time, we want them to come in and we want them to do it right, but we don't want them to hurt our people that there's already sitting there. That we want to give them a decent buffer area so they're not right up on top of somebody's property, because with all these things comes smell, and other things comes with it too, so we're trying to make sure that what we're doing is gonna help bring people, let them do what they wanna do, but at the same time, protect our people that are already here too.
And I think there's language in here, what I saw a few weeks ago, that you had to do like road studies to see that the road would support.
Well, and what that came back to is, you know, and that was highly advised by Felicia Harper, right out of Kipta, because, you know, the barrel tax is gone. And so surrounding counties are seeing, you know, where they were getting money on the barrel tax to help maintain the infrastructure. When they're bringing all these heavy, you know, loads of stuff in and out, we're not gonna have that option, so they're gonna lose that. So, you know, the thing is make sure, just like if somebody wants to put a subdivision in, they gotta widen the county road, why wouldn't this be the same? If they wanna do something like this, that's gonna cause a lot more traffic, and bring a lot more people, why wouldn't we want them to make sure that our roads are good? Why should that burden come back on the county? And like I said, y'all can read the minutes twice a month from March forward, and we've wore this thing out. We really have.
All right, any other questions for Julie?
I know you're gonna have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe to us over the coming months. And I know we don't get our packet till like 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. If you got big stuff like this, can you send it to us early in the week so I can have a little more time to review?
That shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
All right, we have there's a set of minutes from 9/4, the sanitation district, I know somewhere. Page 80 is, I know, we talked to Lynn about when we get checks, and I guess I wanted to ask her if she could, like, account 01, account 05, account 03, and account 04, what do those particularly refer to, I guess, on page 80?
The first one is delinquent tax. The second is document storage. The third is deed transfer tax. And the last one is ad valorem tax. Was it not on the memo with the check?
No.
I'll make sure they are next time.
I mean, all we get is an envelope with these checks in it. And then like the reports that you have to send in, even if we got an annual one, we could break down, I guess, per month how much delinquent tax was paid. I mean, is it, or even quarterly?
There are no reports associated with these checks. I've talked to my bookkeeper about it. These checks don't have any reports that go with them.
So
I'm not really sure what you're looking for.
I guess we're trying to understand what each amount. Now so is like account 02 that's not represented here, is that for something else? Or is there an account 02?
I'm not sure without having it in front of me. I'm sorry.
All right.
I just can address these checks.
Okay.
That were signed on Friday, and we will have in the memo what they are next time.
Okay. All right, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We have this on page 81, this is agreement that we have signed and sent to Shelby County, I guess, Corey.
Yeah, this is what was passed. Going through my emails, I realized that it didn't have the official signature from the judge, so we sent that on late last month over to Shelby County. Haven't heard back, but I do have a call scheduled with Carrie McIntyre this afternoon, so I'll bring that to her attention just to try to keep the ball rolling on that front.
All right. Of course, this pertains to where the county line was moving. I still hope that the Shelby County residents will see that this is it's not a surrender of land that they have to surrender to us. It's basically letting us keep maintaining the property that we've been maintaining. So that'll be on their ballot in a month. So New business. The kennel bids, we've got to redo those.
Did you have anything on the ordinance number 4, budget amendment, number 1?
Yeah, that's pretty big. Here it is. I got it. Yeah, that's very big. Yeah, on page 87 and 88, we've already had, you can see where this was sent and signed, so we need to have a second reading, and that'll be the final reading on this ordinance number 1 budget amendment.
A motion to accept this.
Yes. All right, so we'll need a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance amending the budget amendment number 1.
So moved.
All right, second. All right, I have a motion by Zach, seconded by Dan, to approve the second reading of budget amendment number 1, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof. Any discussion?
Question, I'm not a bookkeeper, Doug, under section 1, and the lower one too, we've got increase and decrease, you've got decrease in premises, is that decrease in the budget, or?
All these are increase in our budget now. We do have some, the ones in parentheses, like they're on the transfer out, we are decreasing the general fund debt, where we put money, like where it comes from the opioid settlement accounts to the general fund. It is sending it over to the opioid account in that way. But we have done negative budget amendments before because we didn't think we were gonna get something that we put in the budget too, so, but this, technically this is increasing all the funds that we've got listed there. I mean, the opioid fund's increasing by 132.
You got the decrease in parentheses was the reason for the parentheses around decrease.
When the number's in the parentheses.
In an accounting, when a number's in parentheses, it's a decrease, so it's just an accounting term.
By transfer out, you see it's in parentheses, that means it's decreased.
So none of the money's listed there is, well, you've got one transfer out, 34,000 in parentheses. Just trying to learn a little bookkeeping.
You know, technically the transfer out negative in parentheses is where we got the money, and we got it under 14760, the opioid court settlement money, so I mean, they balance each other out, so really we're not decreasing the general fund by anything other than what we received on the opioid money on that, so.
Some of the bigger items of borrowed monies up at the top, third one down, that's at RECC. We had to figure that in. And when we did our budget, we didn't have that. The discretionary money, we didn't have that in the budget, so we had to make that change. And then, of course, the $10,050,000 for the sanitation, we had to make that change. I know those were the biggest. And then, of course, the opioid, like Doug says, just out of the blue, we'll get a letter and they're sending more money for the opioid, so we have to put it in the right place. So, anyway, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve second reading. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Yeah, thank you all. Flip my page and skip that. The kennel bids, we're going to have to rebid those again. Next, Robert, you're up for EMS.
So we have Jeffrey Pierce turned his resignation in. He's one of our 12-hour truck people. He had been out of EMS probably 8 or 9 years, and he came back, and I guess he felt like he just wasn't picking it up quick enough, and has decided to go back into security. So he turned his resignation in. Last meeting, Joe Diddlin on there. We hired part-time, and he wants to go full-time, so he'll be filling Jeffrey Pierce's spot at the 1862 an hour. Joey already had his drug screening, well, it's like pre-employment requirements are up to been done for this part-time gig.
And you got a pay increase
And
here,
then the last one.
Chris Shirley.
For Shirley, normally that's what the pay increase was, but looking at, with the judge this morning at our hourly, that would take him above a supervisor's pay, so, really it needs to go to, he's at 17 and he would go to 17.65 an hour.
Instead of
Going
the,
from EMT to advanced EMT.
yeah,
1700.
65.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Jeffrey Pierce, move Joe Goodlett from part-time to full-time at a rate of $18.62 an hour, and increase the pay of Chris Shirley to $17.65 per hour.
Second. All right, we have a motion by Mike, seconded by Zach, to make the three changes listed in the motion.
Can I ask
Any-
you a question?
Yes.
How many years has Chris Shirley been working for the county?
He was here full-time for several, I don't know how many years, and then he went part-time, so.
I was about to ask the same thing, why are we worried about docking? He should get the same pay increase we didn't have what anyone should.
Is this what anybody else would get if they earned their advanced EMT?
Well, we have kind of a pay scale issue that me and the judge have talked about. We have two supervisors that are both advanced EMTs that have a wide,
But Chris Shirley's been here many years, right? I know he's part-time.
I don't know, I mean, I can't tell you how many years he worked here full-time, then he went part-time. I don't know when that happened.
Yeah, but
That's a separate issue, though. I mean, if we've got people jumping over the supervisors, then
We need to revisit the pay scale. and
Yes.
hire you to
Yes.
revisit that.
exactly.
So why are we knocking this guy just because of our own problem?
We'll address the other problem in the future.
All right, well, we need to address his pay right now.
I mean, normally there is $1.25 difference between levels. So there's $1.25 more paid from EMT to advanced, and then $1.25 paid more from advanced to paramedic.
So,
So if we went by that, he would go to $18.25 an hour.
I think that's. what
okay,
it's at.
that's where it is. And then we need to work on revisiting the pay scale. I mean, there's no
We
need,
can do it that way.
there's no
That'd be
need,
fine.
there's no need to knock him, knock his pay because of discrepancy that we need to handle. That wouldn't be fair to him, and I agree with that. I was misunderstood. I'd like to move to amend my motion, strike out 1765 for Chris Shirley, make it 1825.
All right.
second.
All right, we have a motion by Mike, seconded by Dan, to amend the motion and strike out on the third part, the 1765, and insert the words 1825. Is there any discussion? All right, and I support this move myself. So without any other discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The amendment passes. Now we have the motion as amended, which stated Mr. Pierce resigned and we moved Joe Goodlett up. And the Chris Shirley will be going go up to $18.25 an hour. Any other discussion? And I would like to say that if you can, Robert, next meeting, like in 2 weeks, have those supervisors and we'll discuss any changes we may need to make on those then.
I mean, I guess, whether it's you or we need to get a pay scale or something we can vote on, so these guys know what they're making and get it lined out where things are appropriate based on your title and the positions you hold.
Right, I don't.
Everything takes time. You start now, we might get it done next year.
Well,
But I'm saying time served.
Well, yeah, it needs to be based off years of service and position held.
all right. Well, if you would, we'll look at that next time. All right. For the EMS department,
Gotcha.
not other departments.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't resist. All right, all those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Robert. The farmer's market scope of work, again, we voted at our special meeting to pursue that grant. We're gonna try to get $300,000. We will need, and the main reason I want to discuss this today is that, we have the original plans that we were going to get bids on, and I haven't gotten the bids for the pavilion. We haven't put that in the paper yet. We've kind of been busy with the sewer, in the sewer business, but hopefully we'll have some time. The farmer's market, in order for us to get that funding, they want a covered area out front. So we need to discuss that as we're filling out the scope of work. So what you guys thoughts on the
Could you just put
building?
What if we just put it around, put the open part in front? And
It's a whole big building.
I mean, we're gonna have an enclosed building with bump outs. That's kind of where we landed. And I mean, the idea is just, if we could put a porch of some sort that still is appeasing to the eye.
But there was still a covered portion of this building.
Well, they want to be out front by the road with a porch if possible. That way they don't have to set up tents.
Well, this is just me, but this whole idea of the pavilion and farmer's market is pavilion, and the farmer's market is only one of dozens of aspects that we're going to use in this building. So I don't think we're going to be babying them and putting extra in just for them when we got all these other entertainment, like Mike's group coming, singing, whatever, door shows. Do we do the same thing for them? They want this and want that. I think we need to build a building and then let them come and do their thing wherever they can in that building.
Well, I think there is a totality of.
Well, the
different
problem
things
with
to
that
consider.
is none of the rest of those people are gonna give us any money to help pay for the
Well,
building.
they're not doing this.
You got 300,000, Mike, on behalf of the musicians of the area to put in
Let me
there?
tell you something, on behalf of musicians everywhere, I'll tell you, we're broke.
Yeah.
What I need is a scope of work basically for phase one. We'll be ironing out a contract with the farmer's market, basically stating that on Saturdays from 8 to 12 or 8 to 1, they would have preference. And then if for some reason we needed something else with the Gourd Festival, for whatever, we would just notify them 30, 60 days. It would be lined out in the contract, which of course I would have Corey review and we would give to them. What I need now in order to complete the application is costs and so forth. For phase one, we'll say.
And we can use estimates. Now, here's how we hustled through the last meeting, but on October 22nd, we need to fill out an application that'll have a scope of work, and it'll include estimates of costs. All right, they don't give us any money until we spend it. So and it doesn't cover the land. But when we build the road behind, and by the way, I have to get one more appraisal. Apparently he forgot, and I reminded him. He's supposed to got it last Friday on doing the Sweezy closing. We still haven't closed because I'm waiting on that one appraisal. And I'll hustle him today to hopefully get it this week, and then we're done with that. But the work that we do there would apply, under this grant for that road. Whatever work we do for the site prep, like the engineer, all the work that we do would suffice. And we have to spend the money and then turn in the receipts and we'll get reimbursed. When we order the building package, whatever it costs, and whatever the building, the labor costs to build it, all that'll work. I mean, we gotta accumulate $600,000 worth of receipts of construction, and then we'll get a $300,000 check, real quick. So I thought that was basically something we could tolerate if all we gotta do is build a porch on the front.
Well, again, this building, we want it to look really good, and we talked about this over from 155 when we come in. And, whatever kind of front entrance that we got there shouldn't distract from the aesthetic value of the front of the building.
Well, I kind of agree with Jim. We have to kind of consider the totality of vendors or events or entertainment that's coming in and not cater to just one. But I understand that they're concerned. But it's not really costing them anything, they're having to put up tents now, they'd just be doing the same thing. If anything, we're offering them a better spot, it's more wide open, more parking, it's still gonna be an improvement, whether we have a covered porch on it or not.
Well, I think
In
I
the
got,
current situation.
I think I got 50 more thousand when I told them that we could probably have a porch and you wouldn't have to set up tents.
50,000 paper porch.
Well, 300,000.
You know, we can always come out into the parking lot beside the front of the building and erect another smaller metal building, with just a roof on it, and that'd be for them out the parking lot, just to put tents up.
Does any of this matter for what you need?
I need to
Right
put
now.
in a scope of work, so I need to be able to tell them what you all are wanting to do. A firm vision on this court for me to pursue funding for. So you all
Who
tell
is
me, I want a pole barn that's X by X, that'll cost X, I can put it on the application and submit it in. But I can't just say like, trust me, I'm gonna build a farmer's market, I don't know what it is, I don't know what it looks like, I don't know how big it is, but give me your money.
So either way, whether you got a porch on there or not, it's probably not gonna affect if we get the grant or not.
No.
I don't think a porch is gonna sell it or
You
not
just
sell it.
covered the bunkhouse.
Well, and another thing they're excited about on those Saturday mornings, and I know, Jim, we discussed about having carpet in there versus the concrete. On Saturday mornings, they will have probably twice or three times the participation there. They're gonna be able to use the inside of the building also to set up, you know, their table and sell their soap and their goat cheese and all sorts of stuff. And then they'll need the bathroom facilities also. And one more thing they requested is they need a small room, probably no bigger than this little room in here, to where they can have a couple deep freezers. I wanted them to do a walk-in freezer. They didn't like the idea of a walk-in freezer right now. But,
Could they put their stuff in the rear building, the one that's just got the roof on it, back there, and we could do whatever, we could put a room there. The bathrooms are on the outside, they don't have to go inside the building, they can use inside the building. And then, if they're still on the side of the building, they're not on the front of the finished building.
all I know is to get they're offering $300,000 if we can kind of accommodate some of their needs.
When you say they, you're talking about the state, not the Farmers Market Association.
Correct.
They're the ones
County.
that's filling out the grant, we're just, what I've understood of it is it's a cooperation between both of them. They're the ones that got to sign off on to get this money from them. We can't just fill it out and say, we're gonna be the ones having the farmer's market. They gotta be the ones that fill it out.
Is that correct?
So it's two different ones, it's $250 from the state and then $50,000 from the local farmers market. We met with all of them and it was a good meeting. They're not asking for a lot, to be quite honest, I think we can accommodate, but I just need to know. I know that the court has discussed a whole lot on what we want this to look like and we want it to be a big, beautiful thing, probably similar to what the extension office is, but the extension office is a whole lot of money. So I just need you all to tell me.
Well, here's the problem I see too. We get this big beautiful plan or whatever, and you send all this off and we get this grant, then we gotta scale it back by half. All the work that we've done, you've done grants gonna go away, correct? No, just have to see.
I would have to see.
Well, if we don't meet the scope of work, we will have to refund the $300,000.
That's what I'm saying, so it needs to start getting real realistic.
It's kind of pigeonholing.
Because we can have this great big plan, to do all this work and then not be able to afford it.
Well, you know, we need to do something for the farmer's market, it's just where we're doing it, you know. I don't think we need to do it out in front of that front building, put it on the side of the rear building. And
That ain't where they wanna be.
I don't care what they wanna do, it's what
Well,
we decide.
we gotta care if we want $300,000 from them.
We can do the scope of work and say, we're gonna add into the rear building a room and with a porch over on the outside back there. I just don't agree with
But in reality,
that.
you're gonna lose 50,000.
I think that, I mean, you know, compared to what they have now,
It's still being improved.
it's going to be a huge improvement. They're going to have covered access to the farmer's market.
And they want to sign for
Yeah,
their.
they're gonna have electricity.
Sign.
parking.
I think it'd be great to have
Give
some.
Y'all see the annex over there? See that porch? That's a porch. That ain't ugly. Y'all gotta dream bigger. I mean, look at that. That's a covered porch. You don't have to have a tent if you got a,
I don't care if we put a porch behind.
Yeah, it
You
looks
talking about
like that.
12-foot porch off the front of the barn?
yeah.
Porch will look good.
Yeah, I ain't no problem with
But
As long as my concern would be that, you know, okay, if you build a porch out there, is there gonna be shelving out there all the
No,
time? Is there
no.
gonna be
You
tables
put
out
a
there all
porch
the
out there,
time?
it's just like enough for like 2 tables, like, is that really like?
Well, you know, the two bump outs in the front, you know, there's like 18 to 20 foot extension of those bump outs.
Bump out.
The entrance would cover,
Yeah.
the entrance would cover those two with a roof over it. If you wanna do that, that's fine, but don't incorporate a little metal roof out front.
No, no,
Make it
no,
something
no, I don't want a roof like walking up the school hill. No, no, a porch, like over there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with covering the 2 bump outs in the front.
I'm
And
okay with
incorporate
that
the
too,
roof
as long as
over that.
they
We'll go, I agree
Like I
with
said,
that.
as long as you just
Make it
don't
look, make it look nice.
sheet metal roof across the top of it.
Well, the whole thing is gonna be sheet metal.
Well, I know, but just, I'm talking about just putting a splash over.
I mean, imagine the church out there at the Jefferson County line, North Point Church. If we get a building similar to that, they've got those bump outs. You know, just imagine a roof of some sort like that, that's out front, that's dressed up pretty, has some pretty poles. I mean, you know,
How much was that?
what,
How much was that?
but that whole building was $1 million.
So
Yeah,
it's-
how many years ago?
Well, it's probably about $1.3 million now,
2 years.
and we're gonna get 300,000 of it.
Done 2 years.
So, and that was parking lot and all, he said.
So is that what you all want to say, like if I get estimates or something for whatever similar to that, or if Jim got it, if Jim helped with that, and I sent that off, is that what you want to say, that our project's gonna be $1 million or $1.3 million?
You know, the entrance to that new building, between the bump outs, was gonna be a covered entrance anyway, to make it really look nice. And I think the architect of here was gonna do building, could offer us, whoever builds the building, could offer us 3 different designs for the front.
Of a covered entrance.
Of a
A
covered
covered entrance is all we need.
A covered entrance, but 3 different designs of, and then we can pick whichever one you want, and how much you wanna spend on. You need to come up with somebody that's got an idea of, how much it would cost to do that.
And I know we voted months ago to get bids on 2 buildings, turnkey. That's what we're gonna advertise when we feel like we're ready.
Sounds like to me we're getting to that point. so-
I don't disagree.
We'll pass it.
Well, we got the dog, when the animal shelter gets under roof, and we got top flight purchase, Corey. You know, we need things in the rearview mirror, guys. Everything can't be in the windshield.
Yeah.
We gotta have things in the rearview mirror. So, we're getting there. But what I'm thinking about out here, and I know Wheels had a concern about, this is gonna be $3 million plus.
It's gonna be every bit of that.
Okay, the front building only, not the other building, because the concrete is gonna be tremendous. But I really feel we could do the front building and what parking we need without a problem.
In the road for Sweezy, for Wayne, that's gotta be done without taking that donation, that has to be done.
Well, right, that'd be about $150,000.
The new entrance,
Well,
we estimate that at 200 some thousand.
Well, we don't have to do that.
All the storm drains.
Well, that's
We
what I'm
don't
saying
have
though,
to do
but
that.
this scope of work needs to be realistic.
Yeah, I agree.
So Brittany, if we apply for this and we get it, we still don't have to take it, right?
If they give us the money.
Well, but they're not gonna give us the money until after we spend the money.
Correct, that's correct.
So if we never spend the money, then it's just a
No
wash.
harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than we're tying up funds that someone else
Else could have
wanted.
gotten.
Yeah, I know that the fair board is going to be applying for some things for that as well. They want bleachers and.
Yes.
But I'm gonna
You know, we all can sit around here and say, you know, this is gonna cost this and that and this. We don't have figures, none of us, I mean, we're just talking off the top of our heads when we say that. Until we get some firm figures, we don't know what's gonna cost. We gotta advertise it and get bids to make that happen.
So we need a motion to go after this $300,000
You all have already made the motion to apply for the farmer's market. You all did that at the last special meeting.
Yeah.
But I need a scope of work, so I don't care how you all break that down as a whole picture, or if you say phase one, it's gonna look like this, and then you expand off of that. I still need a scope of work and a rough cost estimate to include in the application. And maybe that scope of work just looks like we're gonna build X by X size pole barn with front porch. We think it's gonna cost $1 million, we need 300,000. And they may just approve that, or they may come back and ask for additional supporting documentation. And maybe by the time that they do that, we have it. We've bid it out, we have more firm, documentation. You all just have to tell me what you want that to look like, either a whole picture or broken down by phase, or none at all.
Let me shoot this by you then. I'm meeting with Doug White over there after this meeting. He would be willing, I'm sure, at no cost, to draw us up something for the front of that building, because he's got all the plans for it anyway. And let him give us a design and a cost estimate for written
Yeah,
down.
and just give her something to run around with.
Well, I mean, when we talked about this last year, we had some cost estimates already together.
Not on it.
Well, the building package, but look,
No, we got all that. I'm saying the entrance with the roof on it, just that. That's.
well, the building package alone is enough to meet what we need. Without the.
Additional scope of work.
I needed to tell you all that we was needing a porch. We haven't covered that ground.
All right, well, plan on just putting a damn porch on there and try to turn it in.
And the tobacco settlement money,
Home
that,
barns with a porch.
that was done years ago. They have
Covered
a,
dump house.
they have a county council that gets so much money a year, and they administer the CAPE program. I know it's been very successful in the community. They give out money. Then the county council still has funds because they actually, the state set up the rules as to how the money is distributed, and the county has to follow them, and they haven't been able to give all the money out. So they have a surplus in their budget, and that's where, I mean, possibly we could get more than 50 from the local. The 250 is a state program just for farmers markets. So potentially we could get more than 50 from the local, because they have more than 50 to give. So, but I needed to, for everybody to be on the same page with where potentially we're going with
So how
that.
large? You have
What?
pole barn with the front porch, how large?
What we've already designed, we already got that. It's in our design.
And choose the plans that Jim handled that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Todd give me an estimate on the road. I'll get Todd to get more estimate on the rest of the parking lot and the gravel and the blacktop, so we get all that done. All right. The county farm, I'll turn that over to Will.
I met with Ronnie Mason, who's the gentleman that leases that up there, and there's some things that need to be done up there. There's an old barn that's about halfway falling down already. A lot of trees out in the middle of the field. Pretty much just cleaning it up. Somebody has dropped off an old camper up there.
Nice, huh?
I talked to Ronnie, and we went over a few options of how to do it, and he agreed that he would perform the work and only charge us $5,000, which, in my opinion, if we call and bid it out, it's gonna be about $15,000. I'll be generous and say $15,000. And it will benefit him, but it will benefit us quite a bit as well. They're gonna clean up, make it look a whole lot better. It would be my recommendation, we take that deal and either let them do it.
That old house feels pretty good.
Yeah. Now, I didn't talk about that old house because, we probably don't, I don't know if we need to.
It would probably cost us some of that in labor to have the county do it over, the county, or probably do it over the winter. I think we ought to take Ronnie's.
When he said that, I don't think the court had no, but the house, I don't know if there's any history to the house or what the deal is. It's an eyesore too, but maybe there'll be something talked about that there.
Well, let's start with the barn and the trees.
I don't know if they do that anymore.
They don't do it.
They used to do it then.
No,
I don't think they do it
They
anymore.
got a big training facility, a lot of barn thing up.
they had an old barn, or there was an old pond up there, but somebody filled in. And, it's settled and, it's pretty much a swamp hole out there. They're gonna fix that. That's in the scope of work there too.
I make,
I believe you can, barn, you can bury it on your own property, so you don't have to burn everything, just cover it over.
You can only burn what grew there.
I make the motion that, we let Ronnie Mason, do the work described by Will for an amount of $5,000.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, have a motion by Mike, second by Dan, to allow Ron Mason to do the work at the county farm, up to $5,000 for farm improvements. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Is there gonna be a list for the minutes of the work that's gonna be done?
It's basically just cleaning the county farm.
Removing dead trees and low barn.
But basically, so, all right, the insurance committee, we met the other day, and here's where we landed. We had lots of real good discussion with pretty well all interested parties. And the final outcome was to go with United Healthcare, and we would get and offer the Fiscal card for a 6-month load, and then after that you get another 6 month. So we would put 600 on twice, so they would be able to keep the Fiscal card, and then offer to pay 80 or 99% on a single, if any employee wants a single, and then continue to pay the 80% on any program other than a single. The reason that we couldn't go with a flat rate on a single was that some single plans under United were under $900, and you're not allowed to pay 100%. So
I have multiple questions, but that just sparked one question. Other than, which I want all our insurance to be as cheap as it can for everybody, but other than paying 99% for a single plan, couldn't we break some of that off and go more towards family to make it cheaper? Like if you paid 86% on everything else and took that 6% off the single would still be, I mean, they're cheap, correct?
Well,
or does it make that big of a difference?
This is where that everyone landed and everyone liked. I know probably as far as we all need our insurance, and I know Andrew was here, Robert was here, Lynn was here, Karen, nobody from the road department was here that day, but Dan and I were here. Victoria was here at the animal shelter.
Well, just quick in my head, if a single plan was costing them $20 a month, that's not gonna turn them away, but if you had a young guy or girl wanting to start their career and had a family, and you know, it was the cheaper, I think that would retain employees more than.
But they were satisfied with it. I don't disagree, but they were satisfied with the 80%.
Yeah.
Well, and I have a lot of concerns for this too, which I didn't make it to the committee meeting, but, you know, my only big concern with this United Healthcare plan is they're buying us a 10% decrease this year. They're buying our business. Next year, we gotta look at this, we're gonna look at this again, because it's gonna go up. This United Healthcare is coming from a smaller pool of people they're pulling from. And then we're gonna be right back in the same place, I think, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at this every year, we're gonna start swapping every year, and then we got a problem of we're not gonna be getting the best rates, we're not gonna get the best companies that come and look at us at that point. You know, when I looked at this, I was all I'm for the state plan, I was for it from the beginning, still for it now. It covers the way it's gonna work. Yes, we're gonna lock in 3 years, but we're coming from a statewide pool. There may be an increase next year, there may be a decrease next year, but once again, we lock into it, we're done, we're not worrying about it. I think that we'll be doing a disservice to go with this plan. I really do.
My 2 cents on it are this, with the insurance committee, again, we did get together with all the different department heads that represented their employees that worked underneath them, and I'm sure they had a lot more lengthy discussion than what we're going to have here today, and they walked away with a recommendation that they felt was the best for all of their employees under them, which essentially are employees, And I think we should follow whatever recommendation the insurance committee proposed to this body.
Some of the big takeaways from why we landed with United is that with the state plan, the Fiscal card, you don't have the same kind of Fiscal card. One, you don't have one at all. And then the core plan, I think you had a $500 card. The biggest concern was that, of course, I talked to my friends in Bullitt County and they went with United, and I said, tell me why. Why'd you go with United and not the state plan? He said, that they said when you have a question with having an agent, which the Scott Brown and his group, whenever we have a question, Doug calls up there and gets an answer. Said, what about when you have issues with the state? Is as easy to get a hold of. And I mean, Doug sent a message to the state. Did you finally get an answer? We finally got an answer.
Well, we got an answer there, about 20 things we had, hoops we had to jump through to get into the state plan.
But it took all week to get the answer.
Yeah.
And then another to me bad part about the state plan is that when you get in, you are stuck 3 years. And then when you get out, when you get out, you can't get back in for 3 years. So we can get, if United does not work, we could do this again next year. But kind of what Mike said, everyone agreed that this would meet our needs.
I agree with Mike wholeheartedly, but I also know that you had a salesman there trying to sell it to you.
I think one of the biggest issues that, and
I'll let Dave talk.
several of the people brought up was the buy-up plan under this, with us paying the 80%, is very cost competitive with the state plan. And actually, your deductibles and stuff are better under the buy-up plan.
I agree with that too, but the state plan, what you just said was a good point, and I'm good with both of this. I trust the committee. But I just seen some things, we're paying, I think it figures up like 66% is what we're paying. So if we paid 80% at the state plan, I think county-wise, we would still be paying the same or cheaper, but to drop these costs for the employee. But I mean, it's something we can do next year if this goes sky high and say we.
Well,
next year.
You know,
It's only 66%.
we owe it to give it like a 1-year run. If nobody likes it, then we can visit, go back to the state again. I know it's a bigger commitment going, with the state. But, I mean, it seems like, one of the biggest complaints we've ever had from any of our employees is insurance. And if they all got with their department heads and that represented at this meeting, and they said that they were happy to go with this, and it would make our employees, they feel like this was the best option to satisfy their needs, and I think we should follow that recommendation.
They were shown the booklet at the meeting, they haven't shown their employees, I want to make that recommendation too.
That's right. The first time we saw this information, so we walked in the door at the committee meeting.
Yes.
Our employees did not have an opportunity to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm kind of going off the, you know your employees better than I know your employees. Robert knows his better than I know his employees personally. He knows their needs, their wants, their concerns. And, and we have to trust you guys as department heads to accurately represent the needs of your employees and what you feel like best serves the people that are under your supervision. And if you feel like that you have accurately represented your employees, and you feel like that this decision that you all made on this committee is best for your employees, then who am I to sit here and say that I disagree?
Insurance is a complicated issue,
Yeah.
very complicated issue. There's a lot of variables in it. We never even considered the state plan before, so my employees had no idea what they entailed. And I didn't either. I mean, I had absolutely no idea.
I think Zach made a good point too. If you took all your employees and you covered up, which cost is also a major factor, but if you cover them up, let them pick through, what you're getting, and then show them the cost, I think that makes a big difference too.
I did that with some of our department heads,
Yeah, look at
blindsided them with it, and they all would pick the state plan over all these options every time, until they seen what it was costing for the money.
Well, I guess, I'd say we're not gonna trust the committee to make a recommendation, then why have the committee?
Andrew, you had a couple of your deputies here who had been on the state plan, and I think in the
Cody's one of
end,
the most
when they did the calculations, they agreed that the buy-up plan on United was a better deal for them at this
Right.
time.
But he didn't figure if we paid 80% of the
Yeah.
state plan either.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
they
think what they're
did.
saying too, we
Yeah, they
didn't
did.
discuss
Yeah, they
any of that.
Yeah,
You know,
they did.
66%.
And I think, Robert, you said your employees were happy with what we have now, which this is a better option, so.
Well, the other day when we met, I mean, we were here a couple hours. If we weren't, it was an hour and a half. It was a good, long meeting. It wasn't fast. And I know it was looking to me like everyone had landed on the state plan. And then when they got to figuring the numbers, the needle went the other way.
Yeah, once we went to talking about doing 80% of the buy-up plan, I think, that's what we got fixated on, I was very satisfied with that. We didn't discuss doing anything else with the state plan as far as increasing the if we increase
percentages
percentages or anything like that, but,
It becomes
way cheaper.
But they figured 80, you figured 80 on the state plan, same as 80 on United, right?
No, you figured
I just did
66.
United.
Yeah.
Just United.
I was going based off these numbers on the state.
And that's 66%.
Yes.
But even if you do 80%, your family cost per pay period is gonna be $218.50 on a buy-up plan for state, the PPO. But when you factor the Fiscal card in, there's still a $500 difference in pay for United.
Another thing to think about, if we go to the state, this is another discussion, the people that don't take the insurance, we're paying $2,100. I mean,
Well, but that's for a card. It's not a check that you go take to the grocery. It's a
No,
it's a health card.
it can only be used for two things, vision insurance or dental insurance. And that's, you can't use it for prescriptions or anything else. That $2,100 is basically, you can buy glasses or you can get your teeth fixed.
That's if you're not on group health insurance, somewhere else is on thing. So, I mean, that is another factor to think about on that too, that's not figured into that.
Well, we got a recommendation, and if next year they raise these prices by 20%, which I think will happen. We can figure it out again.
We'll be on a calendar here next year, so then we can look, you can look at the state rates again if you decide to go that way.
Yeah. And that is a plus for us too, which the state plans a calendar year too, starting in January. The 80% increase we did this past July, I didn't account for that in my budget in January, so that's a pretty big hit. When we're paying that extra percentage towards the plan we're currently on. It affects our salary cap. It affects our salary cap. But not as far as this plan, we was pleased. Like what Zach and Will saying, we didn't really think about that as far as the state plan, as far as increasing percentages. But, I'm satisfied with this plan.
It's actually cheaper than the county.
I'll make a motion to go with United and follow the recommendation of the insurance committee.
All right, is there a second?
A second.
All right, I have a motion by Mike, seconded by Dan, to go with United and follow the recommendations of the insurance committee, which is $1,200 for the FEFCO card, 99% cut pay on if employee chooses single, and 80% on anything other than a single. Any more discussion?
Quick question, on the Fiscal card, do we want to do 600
Yeah,
for
that's,
6 months? And
yes, that's, yeah, it needs to be 600 and then 600 after the first 6 months. So, any discussion? We'll do a hand vote on this one. All right, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, raise your right hand. Got 5. Anyone opposed? 1. All right, motion passes. So we'll do the United for 1 year, and we can revisit it again next fall. All right, next we have, we're going to go in executive session here after we do the invoices, bills, and transfers. I got one thing to point out. It's on page 105. The jailer's car. You know, we talked about the jailer's car in the last 2 or 3 months. It wound up, they went to get it fixed and they didn't fix it. So we said take it to the dealer. We took it to the dealer. Now it's fixed. But they wound up with, it did need the timing belt and all. So,
Hey, Scott,
yes,
the audit.
yes. Yeah, I'll do it after this. So, but I wanted to point that out. And then now that we have Shelby County and Nelson County together, they're still under 40,000, which is good. But 32,000 for Shelby County. Don't think we're getting off any cheaper. They're just going to Nelson County. So, but go ahead, Will.
This is not related, but just thinking ahead, the place we mowed on Gillett Road back in the spring,
Yeah.
I've had a couple people call me about up there. I don't know if we need to go through Julie. Do we want to try to mow that sometime this fall for cleaned up for winter, or no?
So is it in terrible shape again?
Oh, yeah, you gotta imagine we mowed it in May, I think.
It ain't been mowed since. I mean, I guess.
I just need to call Julie and she needs to bring it to us sometime with it.
Okay.
I've had a couple complaints.
All right. We
I
can,
asked her about her go on the side or something. You can just find someone the price of all it there, won't you with that?
let's, we'll vote on the, cause I need to bring up a couple roads too. We'll do that all in one. Do y'all have any other questions on any of the bills and transfers? Now on page 107, this is another thing that we've had a lot, we put a lot of time into the sanitation district. On page 107, right in the middle, if you see where it says $553,950, the KIA sent $553,950. They sent it to the general fund. They didn't send it to the sanitation account at German American Bank. So we can't just make that transfer without court voting on it. So we're going to request that back, or request that transfer, which is part of these. And then that account, we'll cut a check from that account to the sanitation district. And then the sanitation district, let's see, we'll have to, man, this gets confusing. I mean, when I'm sitting here reading it. Go ahead, Corey.
So, when it's written county sanitation district account, is that the operating account or is that the WRIS account?
That's the WRIS account. See, the sanitation district has its account also. And then we have our general fund account, which is where the money went. So we gotta take it from general fund to the WRIS sanitation account.
Right.
All right, then, okay, then the sanitation, then we're gonna cut a check to the sanitation district. And then they gotta cut us a check back for the loan, the 250 plus 25,000. Now, we loaned them 40,000, but they gotta pay us 25, which is what they paid on the property. And then they have to write a check to the appraisers and the title search, which was part of the balance of that other 40. Now, they're gonna start having revenue even this month, because we did the closing, it's all done.
It belongs to us now.
It belongs to us now, yes. So, but all that is part of these transfers.
That check to the general fund there will come out of the county sanitation account, not, we'll write a check back to the general fund for that 275. Even though we've loaned 290 to begin with. And then we'll write a check to sanitation district, 50,000 to pay HMD.
For the facility plan that they're doing.
If that 50,000 is for the facilities plan, which is part of the first draw from the
KIA.
The grant, it should not go to the sanitation district, or the operating account, it should go from the WRS account to HMP.
Right, it will. Well, once the money comes from general fund to WRS, then WRS will distribute.
Right.
Distribute.
I'm
the
just
funds.
concerned with 50,000 to SCSD board from sanitation account for payment of HMB facility cleaning. That should be in the county sanitation district account, that 50,000, and then that be dispersed out for the HMB facility cleaning, because that was part of that first draw.
Well, it'll go to the, okay, you're wanting that to go to, but the sanitation account should be the one paying HMB. Same as
That
the-
payment, if it was for the line, from the line item grant, that should go to the WRS account. And disbursements for things that we did in the first draw from the line item grant should be written out from that WRS account. It doesn't need to go added layer to the sanitation operating account. That should be separate. That is for its operation and management.
Only.
That's not what we agreed on 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's why we sent the 40,000 with on the money to the sanitation district so they could be paying.
Into the WR, whatever.
The 40,000 was not to the WRS account though. The 40,000 was to the operation and management account because that's the only one that it can distribute a check directly out of. That money to the WRS is what's going to repay that 40,000
Well,
eventually.
the
Or
550.
the 25 of that 40, and then the 250 that was approved.
The 553 that KIA sent includes $495 for the plant.
Right.
It includes the 50,000 for this. It also includes, paying for those 2 appraisals, plus $150 for a title search. So, all of that should go to the board, to the sanitation board, and then the sanitation board should cut those checks.
That's not what it is. It goes to the WRIS account because that is, you've got to compartmentalize those funds. Any distribution from the grant, from Frankfurt through KIA to us, to the sanitation district, would be the WRIS account. It does not go to the operation and management account. That is for day-to-day operations.
We had this exact same conversation 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And then if you need to supplement the operations account, where you pull it out of WRS.
No.
We have the same conversation
No.
every
That's
day,
the
all
one.
day in the office.
There was
Like a flow chart or something.
WRS account is for stuff that is approved for the draw from the line item grant. So that's $10,050,000. That money goes to the WRS account. That first distribution, you know, it went to the general fund instead of the WRS account.
Okay.
So that's what this first,
And the next draw will go to the general fund also.
I don't know why it is, but it should not. It should go, but why?
Oh, so we have most likely what's happened, we have a SAM.gov account.
Right.
You can only register one bank account with this SAM.gov. It's what the state pulls, it's what, any grants that we get across the board. That's why when you see opioid money, we've had to transfer it and went to the general fund. That's why when we receive FEMA money, regardless of whether it's for general fund generators or road fund road paving, it went to the general fund and we have to do a transfer. Unfortunately, I wish I could put more than one bank account on that SAM.gov,
Right.
and that's up for registration and renewal right now. So, like, if you want to sit down and look at it with me, or maybe Justin Carter can do something, maybe the paperwork was.
And that was what I was gonna ask, because I know we were talking last week, it was Justin Carter was going to look into that. I didn't know if there had been any outcome from that.
When we start getting the money back on this overhead bridge road money, it's gonna come to the general fund.
So what I would love to know under all
Concern
of
with
that,
Sanitation districts, it's
and we spent that money out of our general fund, when do we start getting that money back to be repayment back to us?
So when it goes to the WRS account, that 250,000 plus the 25 for the option to purchase, and the form 275 will come from the WRS back to the support.
Into the,
In our general fund.
And And
So I mean,
then,
essentially now, we're gonna have to transfer all that money to that W account, and then they're gonna pay it right back to our general fund.
That's why we had to
of
amend
what
our
was
budget.
loaned, yeah. And yeah, with the budget amendment, that was its own headache potentially, but now we've got that.
Well, I mean, right now, it's set up, it's gonna be a headache all the time.
Right. No money, no problems, I believe is the distillation of all this, but,
The holidays are operated just out of the general fund and send it to the sanitation district.
right, so, you know, if that can be worked out, I don't know if Justin Carter be able to change anything in the portal, it would be a lot
Cleaner.
less headache, but until then, when it goes to the general fund, that's what you're gonna have to do, is continuing the transfers to, and then ultimately, once the revenue starts coming into the sanitation district, that balance, that $15,000 loan to the operating account, that'll be paid, the general fund will be paid in full, and then the only transactions that occur for general fund sanitation district will be distributions for draws.
Yeah.
to the general
Does the sanitation district ever iron out who's gonna be collecting that money? Now that we got it both on, you ever iron that out? Does anybody know?
Yes, so with that, the way that the bills were set up before, and don't ask me why, it was, the current billing cycle was August 16th to 10/15. And then that last quarter would go to the sanitation district. Jack is going to continue to assist with the billing and all that. They're working on getting he's gonna send out the bill on November 1st for that bill cycle. And then they're working on getting someone lined up to contract to be in charge of the billing and keeping track of that for the sanitation district purposes. Once that money starts coming in, they're envisioning moving to a 30-day cycle rather than a 2-month cycle because it's just easier to keep up with.
Wouldn't a CPA firm be ideal to handle that situation?
I don't think it's like a third party billing company.
Yeah, well, you've got 180 or so customers right now, so, it's something that they can look at, but that's currently the plan. Once that revenue comes in, that balance, that $15,000,
That's coming up to them,
will be
too.
paid off.
So that's up to the sanitation district.
Right.
Well, you know the transfer that needs to be made, so we can move along.
Yeah, can we clarify that? Because
So I think those first two on 107, right check, I think those make sense. The question that I still have, it says to SCSD board from the sanitation district account. I think it should be instead from that sanitation district account to HMB for the facilities plan, because that was part of that first draw. But
I mean, does it matter who pays HMB? Because it's all,
if it was part of that draw, then we would need to use those state funds for that.
well, I mean, paying the appraisers is part of the draw too. Paying Charlie is part of the draw.
Right.
And the board is making those payments.
What are those at on there?
No.
Those would be distributions that would need to come out from the WRS account, yeah.
Well, those,
The 43, the 45, and then the 50.
so you're saying the WRS account writes the checks for those too?
If it was part of that draw. That's my understanding. I mean, those first two,
We shouldn't have wrote a check for $220,000 last weekend, because it wasn't part of it, it didn't come out of that account.
from which account?
It didn't come from the WRS account to Jack.
Because it wasn't a WRS distribution, it was to the,
No, it was a WRS distribution, it just hadn't got there yet.
Well, I mean, we didn't even have that money yet, right? So
That money was from us to them to make that all work last Monday. Closed, and now we should be getting that money back now that we're getting that money in.
See, we loaned it to, the general fund loaned it to the sanitation district board.
when we loan that, what
Board
account did it go into?
Owns us that, it went into their account from the general fund.
right. And that's correct, because it's not, that was to its operation management account, because that was the loan that they used to pay for that first payment for the plan. Now, the repayment will come from the WRS account. But that one was fine going to that operations management account because it was not from the line of grant, that was the loan from fiscal court.
I think y'all need to figure it out.
Doug, you,
Wasn't bitter all the time.
Doug, you good with, the WRS account paying us back?
Well, that's why we fixed it up the way we did on the bill.
Right.
Doing it that way, and then we write the check to the operating account, they pay HMB, and just like they're paying the appraisers, and
But they're not.
But what he's saying is that it's not an operations expense.
Operations
I don't have a
is
problem,
the
we can do it either way, but.
Okay, all right, that's all that matters.
Okay, so we need to write the check for HMB out of the
If
WRS.
that's the case, we need to change this 275, probably the 290 or whatever, and just take all of our money
Yeah.
back from the loan.
Right, because that's the only thing it can be used
Well-
for.
Well, hold on. You're saying 290 rather than 275?
Yeah.
That balance of that 15 is not something that was in the draw.
Yes, it was.
The balance of the
It was for the
$15,000.
appraisals, it was, when we did the loan, it was for the appraisals, Charlie Titchener, and
Appraisals.
to Jack.
There was the $40,000 loan,
No,
which is what I'm talking about. There was a
that
15,000 balance
was
on
for
that 40.
40,000. The appraisers, paying Jack 25,000,
Paying Charlie $150.
And our loan to
The
them,
sanitation district owes our general account $290,000.
now is that 200, what he's saying is, I'm trying to follow this, but what he's saying is that's not in the KIA 555, 950.
Yes, it is.
yes it
The
is.
290 is.
Alright,
290's in there.
Yeah.
the,
I don't know.
alright, and the
I don't
550,
care if y'all decide you want to just reimburse 280 back for right now. Cause I know they had to buy some checks, they had to buy,
and
you
that,
know,
Of course, they're gonna be sitting on 220,000
no, that's gonna be in the WRS account until
till
after the
Jack
first of
wants it.
January, on January 2nd, 25,
Yeah.
remain 220. That's not gonna be in the operations account.
the
That's
county
part of the
will still
WRS
be
draw.
sitting on the 220.
So when will they get their first deposit from Jack on, when's the first sewer bill being paid?
First sewer bills being paid will be after first part of November. The bills are going out, I believe, on November 1st with the current bill cycle from from August 16 to October 15. Now that 553, 950, the breakdown on that was the 495 for the purchase price of the plant, 50,000 for HMB's facility plan, 4,300 for one of the appraisers. I'm not sure if it was Baumgartner and Bluegrass or vice versa. 4,500 for the other one, and then 150 for the title search.
Yeah. All that equals 553, 950?
Now, that 495, $250,000 loan, alright, aside from that, there was a $250,000 loan last week, there was previously that $40,000 loan. 25 of that $40,000 loan went towards the option of purchase, which was part of that purchase price. So that's part of that 275. That 275 figure has that $25,000 for the option of purchase, and then the $250 from last week. There's still $15,000 in the operations account because it needs money for day-to-day operations once it gets the revenue in and we
That
pay
was
that.
for
to
the
general
appraisals and paying Charlie Fisher when we loaned them.
Originally, if you all want to take all of that money back, that's fine, but they will need money in that operations account until they start getting the revenue in.
Right,
So
they'll
if
need
you wanna
another
add, if
operation.
you wanna add a line item, or add a transfer instead of the 275, have it be 290, and then reloan another 15, then you can. If you
Why
wanna-
don't we just leave the money in there?
Because we have line items that Doug has to keep straight. That's why this is so confusing. I agree.
We can't have a negative balance on one of our hotline items, correct?
Well, technically, for a good example,
And
if
then
I
don't
put
do
the
it
fish in
right,
the general
have a
fund,
negative balance.
I can't sign a check sending it to the sanitation district to you all as a court approved. And then
We
we
had to
had
wait till
money
the day.
and accounts and that kind of stuff. Too,
I'm
so.
just waiting.
So you wanna make this motion, Corey, since you?
I am not a voting member, so I will be
Okay.
making no motions.
Can I ask
So,
a question? I'm sorry. So 553,950, Corey,
Right.
we need to pay out of that 553,950 the $50,000 out of the WRS account, correct?
So that,
So we
yeah,
need to strike that transfer because that doesn't need, that 50,000 does not need to go to the sanitation district board because we're gonna be paying that out of the WRS.
Correct.
Doug,
that's for H&B.
Doug, how does that sound?
The 553 one still has to be done.
I understand, but we're not gonna be
The
paying.
50,000 one doesn't have to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, so we strike it out.
And then depending on what you want to do, then we also have to add to the bill list then the 2 or 3 appraisers and politician and that kind of stuff out.
Can I have that to you after your executive session?
Yes.
If we've received the bills, I can bring them.
Yeah, we can just, we don't have anything on the floor, so we can go on executive session and discuss that, and then we can talk about this after. No problem.
Before we do that, can we, I always want to talk about that in the lane.
Yeah.
This is an agenda item, though. You need to table it.
No, it's not on the floor yet.
I just have something real quick. Mago was up there doing Cook's Lane and everything. We have a road in my district, Bentley Lane.
Plus LG Davis.
Yeah, I don't know the number, so I'll let you speak on that one, but Bentley Lane ain't been paved in 20 years. It's just a section going uphill on the 4 lane. Had Mago stop in there and just ask for an estimate. They were gonna charge the same kind of price as normal, and they said roughly $3,250. Could fluctuate a few $100 one way or other. I would like to see that done.
Yeah.
They're already there, they're not charging mobilization, nothing like that, it's gonna pay it by the tonnage.
Yeah, basically, we would need to approve blacktop and, which Zach went up and was looking at LG Davis, and it's going all to pieces.
That's up there against Bishop Cook.
They were already in there doing Mitchell Lane, and,
When I was up there, the paper was right there in front of the road.
well, then, nothing's easy, y'all know that. Then the paver that was up there was too big to do LG Davis. So they said, we'll come back with the littler paver.
Same price.
Do the same price. But basically, if you get LG Davis, then all the roads back that road will all be good shape, decent shape. And then that Bentley Hill is the last road before you go into Anderson County. And all it is, it goes to the top of the hill. And it's tore all to pieces, but for $15,250, it'll repair, LG Davis and Bentley Hill.
But we ain't gotta pay $8,000-9,000 in mobilization fees to
Right.
get them up there.
And they both be done in a bad way.
And so, and we figured out how to cover that.
Figured that out.
I don't remember if we did or not.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe LG
I
Davis.
don't know if we put it down on a transfer or anything or not, what I'm getting at.
Well, as long as it's within the road fund, yeah, okay.
Make it with.
I made it.
All right, have a motion by Will, seconded by Mike, to approve $15,250 to do Bentley Hill and LG Davis, with Mago. Any other discussion?
Out of what account?
Out of the road fund,
No, different account.
out of the silo places. Silo farms,
What about, we just do rock, stone, and gravel, right?
or out of that one.
Okay,
Is that your preference?
so I think that's better than.
Okay, well, it's within a road fund account.
It's within a road fund account, but we can't pay for those 2 roads outside of the account. So-
Okay, all right, then we'll do it out of the,
Rock, stone, and gravel.
I mean, we can transfer from there to there, but
all right, well, we'll do it out of the rock, paper, scissors account. What's that again? I'm sorry, what's that account? The rock,
Stone and gravel.
stone and gravel account? Okay. All right, so that'll be to pull out of that account. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right,
Audit.
audit. All right, you're up.
state has approved us to do, use an independent auditor. So Patrick and Associates has done our audit in the past, and I am requesting that we use them again. They are pretty easy to work with. Beth used to work with the state auditor's office. Now she works independently, so my recommendation is to go with them. And we may need to expand their proposal to include the sanitation districts. So I'll get back with her on that, but she just got that to me today. She had a family emergency last week, otherwise it would have been in the packet.
So total cost without the sanitation district 15.
Yes, and I believe that includes a single audit as well because of our ARPA money, but luckily, theoretically, this should be the last year that we have single audit on that. We wrapped everything up last fiscal year.
Do we want to table this to the next one until they got the sanitation or reasonable water?
Well, it just depends on what you all want to do, or if the sanitation district has to perform their own audit.
That I don't know.
All right, well, we're just going to make a motion to approve this, and then we'll find out if we need to give another motion. All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Zach, seconded by Mike to approve the audit proposal from Patrick and Associates. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, I move to go into executive session as per KRS 61810F. I believe that's all we're discussing today. Is that correct? You got real estate or litigation?
I've got real estate.
Okay, letter F and
B.
and B
Second.
for real estate. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes. We'll take a break. Andrew, I should have had you introduce your new deputy.
No, I have something I was going to talk about, but I'll get next week.
Oh,
Okay.
Is there a lizard skin?
I'm getting those. I don't